stinking run.
Rush Hour is just getting started on Beaver County Radio. It's time for Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks. It's the show that talks about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There will be guests, and Noah Haswell will have the news of the top and bottom of each hour. You're in the Fast Lane. And now, here is the host of the show, Frank Sparks.
And good morning and happy Monday to you on this, it's already October the 6th of 2026 on today's show. We've got action-packed show for you. Not a whole lot of talk today. We're going to have guests throughout the day. And first, we're going to be talking to the new executive director of Trails Ministries to start out our day. And then coming up at 11 o'clock, Sheriff Guy will be in, and he'll be talking about tomorrow is a safe surrender day. So we'll have that for you, and then we'll go from there and see what we got the rest of the day. So, and if we have time, we'll get to that tough Penn State loss over the weekend. Pitt looking good, and the Steelers off, and everybody else in the AFC North lost, and the Steelers didn't play. So I think the Steelers are front runners for being the division champs at this point because everybody else is so bad. But with that, let's get started, and let's say good morning to Tamara Collier. She is the new executive director at Trails Ministries. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So you're not really a stranger, even though this is a new position for you. You're not a stranger to a lot of things that goes on in Beaver Falls and the youth of Beaver Falls.
Correct.
So start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and how you got to where you are.
Sure. Thank you. So, yes, I was born and raised in Beaver Falls, actually, graduate of the class of 1982. And recently, within the last 14 and a half, almost 15 years, I was working for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Pennsylvania. And my role there was community outreach specialist and reentry coordinator. As you may or may not know, the Pennsylvania setup is divided into 3 districts. Western PA actually covers all 25 counties on the western side of Pennsylvania. And so it was been a blessing to me to actually be able to include Beaver County in that work. And so through that role, I was able to do a lot of work there. And so it means a lot to me to be back home focusing on Beaver County now, but have had that connection, have been doing some work with our 9th graders at Beaver Falls High School through Tiger Talk that my brother and I created several years ago. Also working with the Beaver County Community Law Enforcement Coalition that was founded by Sean Owens, doing unity games and some community and youth forums. So this is where my heart is. And reentry also is where my heart is. And so it's just really a blessing to be back in the county to be able to focus on.
So is there a life happening or something that made it so that this is your passion, or has this just always been your passion?
So making a difference has been my passion, and that's always been a piece. I've grown up in a family that actually was community oriented. My grandmother, was actually well into her 90s. Was the lady who took everyone to vote, took all of the other people to vote, and just my entire family is community oriented. So just helping, learning to help individuals, and really got a strong passion for it in the work. Once I got into the U.S. Attorney's Office, just trying to figure out, their priority was prevention, prosecution, and reentry. And so, my real passion is prevention, to prevent anybody from going down that path in the first place. But reentry, what happens when somebody actually has to pay their debt to society? And once it's paid, what happens to them after that? And what are the effects of that? And the trauma that's, impacts their whole entire family, their community, that person as they're trying to return to society. So it developed over time. I've had some experience. We all know some people who walk that walk and how difficult it is to move forward after that. And so I feel like it's something that God has been preparing for me for a lifetime. And once I got there to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and that was the piece, it actually came across more from the Smart on Crime initiative from President Obama. And there was a strong focus on that. And so getting into that work and realizing this is somewhere we really need to put more effort into it. And so it just really drove that passion of making a difference.
So what led you to the U.S. Attorney's Office?
So I was actually with Dave Hickton, who former U.S. Attorney Dave Hickton at a law firm, actually.
Okay.
And worked with him in the construction practice group. And I honestly almost didn't take the position because he wanted me. He indicated, Dave and I are really great friends. He's family to me, and really believed a lot in me. But he wasn't the first person. My family's always told me I could do anything that I wanted to do, that I set my mind to. And he was another person that actually believed that. And so when he said he wanted to be U.S. Attorney, he called me in and said, I want to go be U.S. Attorney, and I need you to go with me. And I thought, why would I do that? Because they put a lot of people who look like me and my kids and family in jail, so why would I do that? It's like, you'll see. And so, Dave's great, but I follow God. And so I thought, you know what, God, if this is where you want me to be, you'll make it happen. And so, fast forward many years, actually right after we got there, I started to see that it was God, it was God's plan, and actually that feeling of actually being a public servant and making a difference and trying to affect change from within. And so it was a beautiful moment when I realized that this is where, what God has been planning for me all along. And so that's how I got there. I'm glad I actually listened to God and followed that path, because it would have been easy to just stay where I was and keep doing what I was doing at the law firm.
Well, you mentioned family. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm a mother of 3 adult sons. I'll call them my boys because will always be my boys, but they are adults now. Brandon Tymus, they're all graduates of Beaver Falls High School. Yay.
Of course, you picked Jug Week to come in. I'm a new Brainer.
I did. I had to get that in. And Brandon played on the football team.
Okay.
They're all sports oriented. Brandon Tymus, he's actually a contractor now with Athena Health. Trey Collier, Michael, and most people know him as Trey Collier, is actually the dean of students at Big Beaver Elementary. And Shane Collier is the community liaison and several other things at Trails Ministries with Matt and Nance. And I was a single parent for most of that time with them, and just really had to instill in them the same thing that was instilled in me. I didn't get to go to college because of the time that I came out was when everything was pretty much cut for grants, and I was right in the middle of that. And so it was never when, but but when you go to college for them. And so I'm really proud to say that they are college grads. Not that that's the entire answer to everything, but it was, it was something that mattered to me. But they're great kids, and they're also very community minded and doing a lot of big things. I also have 5 grandkids now. Got my girls in the second round. I have 4 granddaughters, Shayla, Remy, Talia, and Marlo, and then I have 1 grandson, Vincenzo. And they're just the joy of my life. My mom, again, was a secretary at Central Elementary for many, many years. Everybody knew her as Miss Becky, Becky McKay. And my dad is Greg Tymus, who worked at the steel mill down at Republic Steel retired from there, and played softball and baseball well into I think he was almost 60 by the time he actually.
Wow.
So longevity. My grandmother, I got to give her a shout out. She's long gone, but Gustina Joyner-Housey is my rock. And she and my mother instilled in me that, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And so here we are.
Sounds like your kids are following along your path with kids, community, and being part of that, especially with their positions of what they do.
Absolutely. And it's
that's
a blessing
awesome
to watch.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome.
Thank you.
So, all right, we're visiting this morning with Tamara Collier. She is the new executive director at Trails Ministries in Beaver Falls. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to call her at 724-774-1888 and 843-1888. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Tune in for Spotlight on Seniors every Sunday at 11 a.m. Host Valerie McKelvey will highlight what's important to the seniors of Beaver County. Spotlight on Seniors is brought to you by the Beaver County Office on Aging and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Join a team that's been making a difference for over a century. St. Barnabas Health System is hiring full-time security officers for night shifts in Gibsonia and Valencia. Work 12-hour shifts from 8:30 p.m. to 8:30 a.m., plus every other weekend, and earn competitive pay starting at $17 an hour plus shift differential. Enjoy full benefits, flexible scheduling, and the satisfaction of helping keep residents safe in a respected and growing healthcare system. Take the next step in your career. Apply now at stbarnabashealthsystem.com/careers or call 724-444-JOBS.
Oh, the one and only Count Frankie here. Are you looking for something fun to take your little goblins to? Well, join Falcone's Moon Township Ford, Dan Hoffman State Farm Insurance, and Beaver County Radio for a ghoulish good time on Saturday, October the 18th for a trunk-or-treat car cruise from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Beaver County Radio Studios located at 4301 Dutch Ridge Road in Brighton Township. There will be all kinds of activities for the kiddies, including face painting, pumpkin decorating, a ducky derby, and a train ride. One person will win a Pit Boss 8-in-1 grill, courtesy of the Rochester True Value. There's no purchase necessary, and every adult will receive one ticket and a chance to win. There'll be a 50-50, a chance auction, and trick-or-treating from the trunk of cars. Anyone can participate, and your vehicle doesn't have to be a hot rod to give out treats. Adults are also encouraged to dress up, and there'll be prizes given for the best costumes. Beaver County Radio's Trunk or Treat is being presented by Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends, and Dan Hoffman State Farm Insurance in Brighton Township. Beaver County Radio's Trunk or Treat is also brought to you by J. Young Refuse, Electric Garage Door Sales, True Value Hardware inside the East Rochester Shop and Save, and Beaver County Radio.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio after the Friday night football game for the Falcone's Moon Township Ford Wrap-Up Show. Beaver County Radio's Mike Azadian and Ryan Garazunas will have the scores, standings, and any news from the games. They will also take your phone calls so you can talk about your favorite team. The Falcone's Moon Township Ford Wrap-Up Show is being brought to you by Electric Garage Door Sales, Forward RX, Patriot Home Care, the YMCA, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, All Access Automotive, Drug Free Aliquippa, the St. Barnabas Health System, the Fry Transportation Group, the Community College of Beaver County, Tri-State Sporting Arms, Vape and Roll With It, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Carver Construction, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, and Beaver County Radio 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Hot coffee in the morning and Frank Sparks. Now you're in the fast lane. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and streaming live on BeaverCountyRadio.com.
All right, we're back here on Driving in the Fast Lane on a Monday morning. It is currently sitting at 69 degrees in Beaver County, and we're visiting this morning with Tamara Collier. She is from Trails Ministries. She is the new executive director, and we're just talking about life in general and what led you to where you are. So let's talk a little bit. First off, tell us about Trails Ministries Incorporated.
Trails Ministries is a reentry organization, but they're first and foremost, it's a ministry. And so we take a holistic approach to helping individuals who are impacted by the carceral system, their families. We're trying to support the families and the trauma that comes from having someone from going to prison and returning home from prison, but also that impact on the community, that impact on the families. And so that's really our goal. We're looking to help individuals move forward once they return home.
So what led you to Trails?
So again, I worked with Trails in my previous role and was familiar with them and worked with Karen Florence along the way, and so was very familiar with that work, and we very similar minded in that, trying to help people just move forward. And so as I started, I was actually getting ready to retire from federal service. And the Trails Ministries position was still open at that time, and it felt spiritual to me that at that time that position was still open, because it's something that I had considered many years before Karen talked about retiring, but I wasn't at a place where I was ready to leave again, woman of faith. And so, I've learned not to make any moves unless God says, okay, it's time to move. And so got a chance to talk to the board and people at Trails and got confirmation from God that this was the place to actually continue to help. And they're doing great work actually to help individuals. And so it was a way for me to continue doing this work, but also to be a part of a great group. Their leadership team has been holding it together for a very long time without a formal executive director. Ed Paroli's been stepped in as interim. Abby Young, Colby Cole, Sally Ricci, sorry, Sally, have been really holding it together after the loss. And it's a tough thing, to mourn and to hold things together all at once. And it's been a long process for them. It is a blessing to be there with them. And so, and just their heart for actually making a difference in so many of the other staff there.
So what do you think was Karen's footprint before her untimely passing? Because she did so much for Trails Ministries. She
really did. I think Karen's footprint was just trying to help, no matter what it took. You know, she gave that. Her heart and soul was this work, and she was willing to do whatever it took to actually make that happen to help people move forward.
What's your thoughts that you're stepping in to fill the role since? They're now you're the first one. They've never had anybody since her, correct?
They've had an interim,
okay.
But yes, not an official.
So what's your thoughts walking in her footsteps?
Man, big shoes to fill, man. And I know Karen. I knew Karen, and we connected, and so I'm honored, and definitely want to honor what she's done. And not just follow in her footsteps, but continue in that. She laid the groundwork, and we're always going to honor that and appreciate that and value that.
I'm sure she's up there guiding you along as well, too.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I feel her. And we've got a huge picture of her in our conference room, and she's just, just huge smile and just such joy. And so I look at that, when I'm in a conference room and say, and thank you and honor her. And I'm going to try to do it justice, in her honor.
Well, you know what? It's a good thing that, because it's Jug Week, as we talked about jokingly. But, they would have been in trouble because Karen Florence was all New Brighton. So it would have been, I can only imagine what it would be like at Trails Ministries this week with it being Jug Week. So that's always been a back and forth, for a long time. So, right. But that's pretty cool. So, all right, we're going to talk a little bit more about Trails Ministries and what Trails Ministries does after Noah Haswell does news here on Beaver County Radio.
Local programming controlled by local people. It's The Beaver, 95.7 FM and 1460 AM WMBA. Coming to you live from the St. Barnabas Control Studio in Brighton Township.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. At Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, they have the resources available to see your case from start to finish. Attorney Larry Kelly.
At Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, we're big boys. We assume all the costs, and we don't expect you to pay a penny. Now, what happens is, if you go to trial and the verdict is not favorable, you don't owe us any fees, nor do you reimburse us the cost. Now, if we're successful, then you'll pay a fee, and you'll reimburse us the cost from the recovery. That's the way we do it at LGKG, and that's the way we've done it forever.
For your initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Another road course race, another Shane Van Gisbergen win. The Monday Morning Race Recap is brought to you by Sunoco. From NASCAR to your car, Sunoco fuels peak performance.
Brings his Chevy in. Four tires, Sunoco Racing Fuel.
From fueling NASCAR champions on the track for over 20 years to innovating 94 octane, the highest octane on the market. Performance is what Sunoco does. All Sunoco fuel at the pump meets the same top-tier standards as the fuel used in NASCAR.
Money stop here for Ryan Blaney. 4 tires with Sunoco fuel.
From the track to your tank, you can trust Sunoco to help your vehicle perform at its peak.
The final road course race of the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season took place yesterday on the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, and at day's end, SVG won his 5th consecutive road course race.
Car was just unbelievable. Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job making some tweaks from yesterday, and first 2 stages it was, pretty nice balance and able to make some gaps, and then started that 3rd stage, Kyle and Christopher were really good, and I lost the lead, lost control of the race, and just couldn't match them really. They were a bit better than me, and then whatever we did or whatever Steven did at the pit stop, car just came alive, and yeah, the last 2 stints were just magic.
Shane Van Gisbergen wins the Bank of America Roval 400. Kyle Larson was 2nd. Christopher Bell was 3rd, with Chris Buescher and Michael McDowell finishing 4th and 5th. 6th was Ryan Preece. 7th went to Daniel Suarez. 8th to Chase Elliott. 9th to A.J. Allmendinger. And 10th to Tyler Reddick. Yesterday was the final race in the round of 12. Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, and Austin Cindric will not race into the round of 8, which begins Sunday at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway with the South Point 400. I'm Mike Bagley. This has been the Monday Morning Race Recap on the Motor Racing Network.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Monday, October the 6th of 2025. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday announced on Friday that a former Lawrence County police officer has been charged with assault, official oppression, and related offenses regarding a June incident at a sheet store. Robert Magnifico, then a sergeant with the Elwood City Police Department, pushed a 19-year-old man, denied the man of his rights, then filed a report about the incident that was not an accurate version of what took place. Magnifico's actions during this incident at the sheet store in Elwood City include coming from behind a counter, shoving the man to the ground, and verbally berating him. Magnifico is currently the Riverside varsity football coach, and a preliminary hearing for Magnifico is scheduled for November 18, 2025. Pennsylvania State Police in Beaver report yesterday that both a car and a tow dolly were stolen from 41-year-old Lisa White of East Liverpool, Ohio, both yesterday and on Saturday in Green Township. According to Pennsylvania State Police in Beaver, PSP Beaver is investigating a report of a 2017 silver Nissan Maxima and a brown auto tow dolly on 490 Red Dog Road just north of Route 30. The car was loaded on the dolly and was left on that road unattended. This case is still under investigation. According to a Facebook post yesterday from the Conway Volunteer Fire Department, a fully involved barn fire occurred on Czar Road in North Swickley Township on Saturday afternoon. It took nearly 7 hours for the Conway Volunteer Fire Department rehab unit, along with several departments from both Beaver County and Lawrence County, to handle this fire and put it out. These departments also received water from sources that are unknown, and Fox's Pizza, McDonald's, and Pizza Joe's, all in Elwood City, sent drinks and food to them as they battled this fire. Esmark Steel Group, a wholly owned subsidiary of Esmark Incorporated, announced on Friday the appointment of Jack Biegalski as Chief Executive Officer, effective October 1st, 2025 in Swickley. Biegalski succeeds Roberto Alvarez, who has been appointed CEO of Esmark International. Biegalski brings nearly 4 decades of steel industry experience to the Esmark Steel Group. A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held on Thursday night for a new daycare center to open in McKees Rocks. The daycare center is called Puzzle Palace Academy, and it helps children on the autism spectrum specifically, with its location in McKees Rocks on the 700 block of Chartiers Avenue. According to organizers, Puzzle Palace Academy provides an inclusive environment for children's needs with sensory spaces, areas for children to learn with teachers, and to meet with therapists. Enrollment applications are also currently being accepted by Puzzle Palace Academy. And according to the Allegheny County Police on Friday night, 38-year-old Stanley West faces charges including homicide in connection with a shooting that occurred at the Pittsburgh Motel in Robinson Township on Friday afternoon. West is accused of allegedly shooting and killing the manager of that motel and injuring a woman there. A Pittsburgh police detective was also shot in the leg, and that detective was in critical condition after being taken to a hospital. 50-year-old Rakesh Ahagaban of Robinson died at the scene, while West was in critical condition after being taken to the hospital. According to Allegheny County Superintendent Christopher Kearns, the suspect shot his female companion after an argument in the parking lot of the Pittsburgh motel. The Pennsylvania State Police are investigating this incident.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Mostly sunny today. We'll see highs near 83. A chance of showers and thunderstorms tonight. We'll drop down to a low around 60. Tomorrow, expect showers and thunderstorms off and on throughout the day and evening. Look for highs of 70 and lows of 50. And a chance of showers to start the day on Wednesday. Otherwise, we'll see mostly sunny skies with highs in the mid-60s and lows in the upper 30s. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Monday, October 6th of 2025 at 36 minutes after 10, we've got a temperature of 74 degrees currently in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM and 1460 AM WMBA. Also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Weekday mornings were meant to drive in the fast lane. It's Frank Sparks on Beaver County Radio.
And we're back here on Driving in the Fast Lane. Coming up 11 o'clock, well, shortly after 11, Beaver County Sheriff Tony Guy will be my guest. And we are going to be talking about tomorrow is a very important day if you have any warrants, because tomorrow is Safe Surrender Day, and we'll get all the information on that and talk a little bit about Sheriff Guy and see what he's been up to, because he hasn't been in for a while. In fact, I don't even know if he's been to the studio since been new here up here at St. Barnabas at the old Michael Baker building. So this might be his first time in. So we are visiting this morning with Tamara Collier. She is from the Trails Ministries, the new executive director. And so let's talk a little bit. We talked a little bit about Trails and what exactly your role is going to be. I did notice a lot, like when I met you in the past, you're a boots on the ground kind of person.
I am.
You get in there and you get things going. So what are we talked a little bit about what your vision is for the future. So what are some of the immediate changes or immediate things that you want to implement?
Well, some of the more immediate changes I'd like to see us, because we're a reentry organization, and honestly, Trails is the only one that's truly a reentry organization. There are a lot of different nonprofits and organizations who are helping that, and that's actually as it should be. But Trails is actually a reentry organization. And let me back up a little bit just in case anyone doesn't understand what reentry actually is. Okay. I think from our conversations maybe, but reentry comes from re-entering into society. Those who have served time who are impacted by the criminal justice system. That's our actually focus. And Trails honestly is the only one that's doing that. So my desired changes for us to be more of a leader in that. I think we have done that, but taking that to another level. And what does that actually mean? Because a lot of people think that if someone just comes out and you just get a job, they'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And the reality is it's that holistic approach that we're talking about. It's way more than that. And it's the same as it is for anybody else, whether they've been impacted by this system or not. Everybody has those dominoes of life, and if anything gets out of whack, everything else is impacted. Right. And so you think about that. If you get somebody a job and they don't have their mental health or their physical health right, or they don't have housing, they don't have anywhere to lay their head at night, or they're struggling with their family structure, or they don't have the basic needs that they need, how well and how long do you think they're going to actually stay on that job? And so that's where I would like to see us be as the leader of. We don't have to do all of that. We just need to be the ones to bring everybody together. There's a lot of the work that I was doing in Allegheny County also with ACAR, the Allegheny County Anchored Reentry Coalition, was to bring everybody together, because reentry is not a new concept. It's been around for a very long time. And Karen got into that, and she knew that and really took it to a different level here in Beaver County. But there's a lot of silos, a lot of great work being done in silos. And so where is that connection? And, the Beaver County system of care actually does a wonderful job at bringing everybody together. I want to see Trails' piece in that. And how do we keep everyone together in that, making sure that if it's not something that you do, giving that warm handoff to make sure they get to the next person who can actually help them. And so we're all in this together. And that's where I want to see that, we're not letting people fall through the cracks because we're not all connected.
What are some of the challenges that somebody faces if they are incarcerated and they're being released? What are some of the challenges they face?
Right. So one of the ID usually is one of the biggest things, and that's actually we have Project ID to help individuals get their Social Security card, their birth certificate, get ID just to move forward. You can't get a job, you can't get benefits or anything if you don't have that. So for starters, there's that, and then there's reconnecting, depending on how much time you've been away or how it has impacted what happened to you, what the mistake you made impacted your family, trying to reconnect, reunify with your family. It's not an easy thing to do. Years ago, there was just giving everybody their stuff and saying, okay, get yourself together. And what does that mean? That means something different for everybody. Housing is a big piece. If they lived in public housing, sometimes they're not allowed to go back to that. We've done a little bit better on that. But you also know there's a housing crisis now, right? So even if that's not what you're doing, people who haven't walked this walk are struggling to stay housed because of the economy right now. But, there's so many different things. Technology is one of the things, if you've been gone for a while, technology has changed so much, so just trying to get that. And then just the trauma of being back home, you've been away where somebody was telling you what to do all day long, right? And then you're home and you're left to your own devices if nobody's there to support you. The family structure is really, really important to that. The people who are successful are the ones who've had someone in their corner helping them walk that walk alongside them.
I'm sure that's very tough to get reacclimated. I didn't even think about it till you were sitting here talking about it. You are used to somebody telling you what to do each and every day. You're not used to having to fend for housing. You're not used to having to basically fend for yourself because you're taken care of while you're incarcerated. Does a lot of reacclimating somebody to society, does that create a lot of homelessness as well?
It can.
Okay.
And again, I said this is where the family support comes in, so it can be a part of it. There's so many different underlying factors to what's causing homelessness now.
Right.
A lot of people just can't afford where the rent is right now. But yes, it does actually also, although most of the time, depends on what level of incarceration, a lot of times they're not going to just send you home to be homeless. So they're looking at a home plan for you and where are you actually going. And that's some of the work that we're actually doing, making sure that somebody has sustainable housing. There's, or there's a halfway house or there's a 3/4 house. Where can we place someone to actually, so that they have somewhere to at least lay their head at night while they're trying to get all of the other things together. So it impacts it, but there's so many, it's not the only thing. There's so many different factors in homelessness right now.
Now, does Trails Ministries, do they support the families of somebody who is currently incarcerated?
Yes, yes. And so we have a program called Angel Tree, thank you for asking, that actually coordinates with the jails. And we actually get volunteers to provide gifts for the children of individuals who are incarcerated at Christmas time. Again, the trauma of all of that, and I don't have the actual data, but the chances of someone of a child who has an incarcerated parent actually offending at some point in their lives is much greater than a child who hasn't. And so that's the prevention piece of it. How do we get in front of that? How do we support them? How do we address their trauma? But the other piece is, kids don't understand that. They just know their parent is gone, but Christmas is here for everybody. Right. And whether their parent is here or not, Christmas is still coming. And so how do we help support them and the families and give them the presence that, so that they understand feel that that's still some love from that person who has left who's away from their family right now.
A big issue is too, kids a lot of times kind of ask themselves, what did I do wrong? When really they didn't do anything wrong. They're just being a kid. So are there other programs like summer programs or anything like that to help out kids or anything that have incarcerated parents?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm also glad you
told you I'm not with Kobe, man. I know what to ask.
Right. And so we've had, and we're going to get it back going. Our summer program, the Dove program actually is something that happens all year round. And you know, I'm really proud of that program with Colby and Beth and Brittany and all that they're doing with that. And you know, we've had some participants actually come back and still help with that. It's a wonderful program, and these are individuals who've had some struggles within the school system, and they're not always children of somebody who's been incarcerated, but again, more than likely, you know, the behavior of kids who actually have had a parent that's incarcerated, they're affected by that, and it shows in their behavior sometimes. But that's the trauma piece. What we really never ask to me is what's going on, right? And what not, you know, we're always saying what's wrong with you or why are you doing this, and instead of asking like what happened to you or what's really going on. And so we actually do a lot of that focus on that in Dove with a lot of our the independent living work experience. We do family reunification with those youth who are actually away. You know, they're in a and I can't even think of the name of it right now, but they're in a facility because of their behavior.
Okay.
And so we work on the family reunification, making sure that they're staying connected and grounded with their family, so that make it a little bit easier when they come back home, and that they don't feel like that they're, you know, they're sent away because of their behavior, but they're not abandoned. And so there's a lot of different pieces. I would love to do more with the actual children, directly with the children of incarcerated parents. And so that's one of the things that we'll plan to do even more of moving forward.
When we were in Beaver Falls, I used to always see Colby cruising down the back alley with a group of kids, and that's how I knew there was a summer program, because they were always walking down through the alley all the time, and I always say, "Hey, what's up?" You know. So, but yeah. So, all right. So we were talking about a little bit about getting someone reacclimated to public. What are some of the biggest challenges? You talked about you know, like Social Security card ID and stuff like that, but mentally, what are some of the biggest challenges somebody faces that is coming out of incarceration?
Well, I mean, I think there's the uncertainty of, you know, how do you, like I said, you tell somebody to get it together. What does that even mean? How do you even move forward from that? And if you don't give somebody those tools to actually do it, and you just assume they have it because they spent some time away, you know, and so how do they actually literally move forward? Right. And so giving them the tools to do that. You know, there's life coaching out there now. You know, there's mentoring, giving them those pieces to understand. One of the things that I've loved about this work the most is those who have walked this walk are really the experts, right? Right. I love doing this work, but I haven't walked that walk, and so I'm always pulling on the experts. Tell me what we need to do better. You know, how did it work for you? What worked for you? But also putting those individuals in spaces to have their voices heard and to connect with others who are struggling in this.
How do they overcome perception?
Well, it's really difficult. They do. It's really difficult because, you know, more often than not, people, when you see one stumble, you use that to judge everybody. Not understanding that, you know, especially if you're a Christian, God gives us second, third, fourth, fifth, 1,000 chances, right? And, you know, we don't want to be defined by all of the mistakes that we've made in life. Why would you want that to happen to anybody else? Help somebody to move forward. And it's so easy to look down your nose at somebody and judge them and say, you know, I wouldn't have done that. You know, so I'm always talking to people about meeting people where they are. No, maybe not. You know, or maybe you made some mistakes and you just didn't get caught for your mistakes. But we're all sin and fall short. And so what can you do to actually help lift someone up and help them to move forward? Giving somebody a second, third, fourth chance, giving them a job, and understanding that, you know, they didn't have the same people advocating for them or the same experiences, and we didn't all start from the same place. So trying to just support them in that, helping them to the basic life skills of the time management, anger management, because it's easy to get frustrated in that when no one will give you a chance. It's easy to give up and, you know, and go back to what was easier for you if no one will give you a chance. And the reality is people don't understand. They judge that, but like, you don't know what you would do when your back's against the wall. You know, so we need to stop judging and start helping. I think that's on us, especially if you're a Christian, that, you know, it is on us to help everyone. We are all God's children, so it's on us to help them move forward and understand that. And I think giving that faith-based walk, you know, understanding that, you know, God doesn't give up on you, and He forgave everyone. He'll forgive them and help them to move forward. That, and I think you get a lot stronger understanding that piece.
So, how much does because a lot of times, like you mentioned, people will go back to things they were doing if they don't have that right support. How much does like illegal drugs and things like that play a role in a lot of things?
Absolutely. So, even when you're trying to recover, if you're talking substance abuse, and understanding that a lot of people are using that as a coping mechanism. That's where that trauma piece comes in, and understanding, that people aren't just, doing things just because they want to
escape
right,
reality.
They're trying to escape their reality. And so let's start talking about the pieces. Let's go back a little bit and look at, so what happened to you? Let's talk about that. Let's help you find a different way to cope. Let's support you. I don't necessarily have to completely understand what you're going through to help you, right? Or have actually experienced it to help you. I just know, let offer that hand, just to help somebody actually move forward. And so getting treatment is one thing, but also family supports. And even if it's not family support, because sometimes, let's face it, sometimes the family support is a little bit dysfunctional. So it's might be one of the triggers of actually making you go back. So where's the community support, right? Where's the village that actually steps in to help somebody move forward instead of treating people like throwaways?
Do families typically support?
I think they do.
Okay.
I think they do, but I mean, it's a tough, it's a tough battle with someone who's struggling, and so family members may also have their own form of trauma because of what's going on, and throw up their hands. And so, I'm not going to judge them either, but, it's really a tough battle. But that moment when somebody actually gets it and they're like, okay, I get it, I'm ready to move forward, and having that support. So, sometimes they do, but I think that, deep in hearts, everybody really wants that person to do better. But, so
perception plays a role in that again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always that perception that they're never going to get it together. But there's no such thing as a throwaway person.
Plus some family members look at, well, what's people in the community think of me because I'm supporting, my relative that was incarcerated.
Right.
So it's kind of, not a good thing. So, all right. So one of the last things I want to talk to you about. So tell me about this new I guess it's not new. It's a program you've had for a while. Tell me about this Tiger Talk you got.
Oh, Tiger Talk. So Tiger Talk is separate from this role. My brother Neil McDowell, who I know you actually went to school with, but he graduated from Beaver Falls. Let me make sure we say that part.
Okay. Well, he's one of them ones that's like we give him a pass. Like we give Fab a pass, we give him a pass.
All right.
So
I work on getting my pass sometimes too. All right. But so Tiger Talk came about years ago. There was an incident in Beaver Falls that there were two young kids who got into an argument with a woman over a cigarette, and one of them shot that woman. And we already had been involved in the community and trying to help the kids. My brother and I were individuals who all of our kids' friends, spend a lot of time at our houses, So I've been mom to a lot of kids. Aunt Tammy, mom, Miss T, to a lot of kids, as has my brother. And so we've always cared way beyond our own children. And so we talked about what can we do. And we actually talked to the late Sean Owens because he was doing a fatherhood initiative in Aliquippa. And then we talked about, well, what does that look like for Beaver Falls? And so we had a conversation with the school district on what that looked like. And Tiger Talk came about, that how can we get our young people, because we felt like there were a lot of, at the time we only focused on the boys. We felt like there were a lot of young boys, middle school age, also some of them impacted by that mass incarceration. Their fathers weren't present, right? There's a whole generation of men missing. And so they were feeling as if they were the man of the house and acting as such, when at 13, 14, 15, you are not the man of the house. And so who's teaching them how to be a man in that, to fill that gap? Again, I'm always going to be talking about filling gaps because I do feel like that's a piece of the village that's missing. When pieces of the village are missing, then we all struggle. And who's filling that gap? And so we started looking at a lot of the great fathers that we knew in Beaver Falls who are doing what they should be doing, and they're not superstars, but they're not superstars, like what society would say is superstars, but they're superstars in their community, coaches, and just being there and, always giving that a little bit of advice. And my kids had a lot of those. Also my brothers, Greg Thomas, Neil McDowell, Darian Grant, all of them actually came and supported my kids. And so where is that? And can we pull them so that everybody has that piece?
We're fortunate in Beaver County. We have so many people like that.
So many. And,
awesome.
it gets overlooked because me working in Pittsburgh, people, I would say I'm from Beaver Falls, and people, oh, it's rough down there. And I'm like, where?
Yeah, right.
Every place you go has its issues, but we have a lot of great people and a lot of people doing great things that it's not highlighted. Only the negative is highlighted. And so we asked the school district, could we come and talk to the ninth graders? And our focus was on the ninth grade boys at first. And so they allowed us to do that. We brought alumni in from all different walks, all different paths, and it is to tell you that when you in ninth grade, everything matters from now on. So it's time, to actually start looking towards the future, and we're here to help you. So we talk to them about what would we do differently if we were back in ninth grade, and what we've done since then. And it's also a career piece to expose them to different career paths that have walked those same hallways as them. And several years later, we did that for the first 5 or 6 years. And someone said, well, what about the girls? And so now we're doing also the girls and having the ninth grade girls as well.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. If anybody would like to get information about Trails Ministries, how can they do that?
So they can go to Trails Ministries on online, www.trails, TRAILS, Ministries, and Ministries is also plural, ministries.org. They can go to our website to learn more about it. I can give you our office number is 724-891-7541. We are currently at 1217 7th Avenue in the Old Housing Authority, one of the Old Housing Authority buildings. Come and visit us. Stop in and say hi. If you're looking to help out, because we could always use some help, we are a nonprofit. And, as everyone else is dealing, there's a funding issue these days. So we welcome anybody who's willing to support the cause of the work that we're doing, especially with the Angel Tree. But overall, we could use that. And so reach out. My door's always open. Give me a call. And if you need some help or you know someone who needs some help, give us a holler.
Well, thank you for coming in today. It was a pleasure to learn about Trails Ministries more and to talk more. We could spend a couple hours sitting here talking about all this. So. But thanks again, and come in anytime you need to.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Coming up next, Sheriff Tony Guy here on Beaver County Radio.
Lincoln Park.